everybody, Larry Lawton here with a great video I got for you today, and I know it's going to be a weird one. It's being gay in prison. Gay and sex in prison. We're going to talk about that today. Yes, it's a topic that, a lot of people feel a little squeamish about, but I'm going to give you the real scoop and everything that goes along with that. Now, obviously, before we get started, please check me out on member programs on Patreon, YouTube. My book, Gangster Redemption, talks about a lot of crazy stuff as well. And, of course, I'm on all the platforms, Instagram, TikTok, all that. Check it out. We come up with some great stuff, and we're going to keep doing it because you guys keep asking. First of all, I hope everybody's doing great. I didn't have to do much research on this because I know a lot about the topic because I was in prison, but I did some research. And, I often tell people this. I don't care about anybody's sexual orientation. I just don't. I'm at that age. I don't give a fuck about anything like that. I never was, actually, in my whole life, ever cared about that. But I used to always hear people say, I'm gay. I'd love to go to prison, And it's funny because I read a few things about that. And it made me laugh. In a bad way, it made me laugh, And listen, I've been in a lot of prisons, maximum security, seen a lot of shit. Been to a wedding in prison. I tell this story, I was telling it the other day about Mountain. We had this guy in Atlanta, 6'6", 300 pounds, and he'd go, he had that deep voice, he'd say, hey, to a new dude, I like you. I was, oh, fuck, come on, Mountain, man. Leave this fucking kid alone, or whatever it was, and, you didn't want to fuck with Mountain. I didn't want to fuck with him. I'm glad he never said that to me. I don't know how you got to kill him, I guess. And he liked guys, but he wasn't a rapist. Let me get that straight as well. Now we're going to talk about what happens as gay people in prison and stuff like that. But Mountain was that, I used to look, and we'd be on the tier. This is Atlanta. They'd come in where I'm on what they call A1. Atlanta had a hallway coming down. So when people would come down, now you had to go out that hallway. There's one door getting into the unit. Now in a house, you had A1, A2, A3. On A1, there's 2 tiers. On A2, there's 2 tiers, and A3 is 2 tiers. So there's really 6 tiers, but you can't go upstairs, or you can't even see upstairs. So it's not like, oh, you look way up. It was one floor. And then you had to go through A1, the front of A1, into a middle area that had its staircases going all the way to the top. And they were all caged in. So when it had what they call a 10-minute move, it's, 10-minute move, 10-minute move. You'd go out, you'd run to the yard, wherever you had to go, and then lock you there. But when you're on your way back, and if you lived in A2, you got to go through A1 to go up to A2 or wherever you're going. Well, my cell in Atlanta was when you walked in Atlanta A1, I was on the second tier of A1, and I had a great cell because it was like you'd see people coming and going. Back then, you could even smoke. We'd smoke cigars up there. And now when you walked in, there was a staircase that would go right up to the second level of mine. And there were 3 showers there, 3 showers on the bottom. And then you could walk through my front half of A1, and you'd go up the cage to A2, or you go to the back end of our unit, where we had 3 showers, and again, the 2 tiers and all the cells. New inmates would come down the hall, and they got a bedroll and a little bag, and they're supposed to check in with the guard. We had a guard that was on the unit, and we had 2 actually, and there was one there and one in the back, but one, usually you only see one, and then they even went to one, but the one guard would be there, and there was a guard station actually under my cell area, or actually it was opposite, but it was right there, like literally right there. But anyway, they'd have to come check at the guard, and the guard in Atlanta, this wasn't a prison where they said, you go to cell, A106, there's an empty bed there. The guard would say to the dudes coming in, there'd be maybe 8 of them. He'd walk up, they'd come to the gate, and they'd all get there, he'd go, hey, go find a cell. What that meant, they don't want to put somebody in a cell and he gets killed. We're talking about a penitentiary where people die. We had a stabbing a month for, killing a month for 18 months. Stabbings all the fucking time. Crazy shit. Drugs, heroin, overdoses, acid, everything you want. Anything the fuck you want. But anyway, they'd come in and they'd say to you, hey, go get a cell. That's when Mountain would be up there. My cell's open. I said, man, motherfucker, man. Again, he wouldn't rape you or anything. He was a big motherfucker, man. I say, hey, fuck this guy, fucking this crazy motherfucker. Now, as far as gay, you see gay people in prison. And everything, a person becomes a woman in prison. And how they do that, they literally will tattoo their lips red. Tattoo blush. They shave their eyebrows and tattoo, eyebrows. Literally, I've seen guys that fucking look like women. And I mean really look like women. They would wear a t-shirt like I'm wearing. And they do this. They do this, exactly what they do. They go like this. I don't know why I'm doing. And they look like this. They'd walk around. I mean, it was so fucking funny to me. But they would do that. And I seen them at night where they, be in panties, running from one cell to another, Now, usually the gay guys, they end up finding, and they have to, and that's what we're going to get into, they have to find a daddy or a husband, or they'd be fucked, raped, and abused. And, again, it's sad. It's funny because people look and say, listen, I had a cell guy that used to clean. It was a girl, Goldie, matter of fact. And Goldie was a black, older guy. And he had that, the shirt wearing. And it was a black guy, so he'd wear like a Aunt Jemima, kind of like a bandana. And, well, I used to pay Goldie to clean my cell, do my laundry. Now, I'm not fucking Goldie. I have nothing to do with Goldie. That way. But I'd say, man, it's their hustle. It's how they make money. I had money, so I didn't need that hustle. I ended up hustling other ways, football tickets and all this kind of shit. But I didn't need that, so always, every prison I went to, I ended up getting someone to do my laundry, getting a cell cleaner, getting guys stealing food and paying them, and I was just a fucking guy who adapted. Anyway, getting back to gay in prison. I really did some research on the gay in prison stuff, and it kind of fucked me up a little bit, because among the most vulnerable in the prison population, 67% of LGBTQ prisoners in California reported being assaulted while in prison. The numbers of people in prison that get raped is pretty bad. LGBTQ people are overrepresented at every stage of our criminal justice system. This is what's sad. And again, you know me on this channel, and everybody knows me. I don't judge anybody. I don't want anybody to judge. There's no racism. There's no prejudices. I don't give a shit if you're fat, tall, short, bald, glasses, green hair, gay, straight. But I don't give a fuck what you are. You know that, everybody. But the data is clear. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people overrepresented at every stage of criminal justice, starting with the juvenile justice system. And this is what really gets me always, because, I care about young people a lot. They're arrested, incarcerated, subject to community supervision, significantly higher rates than straight, and I don't know what this means, cisgender, I didn't even look it up. Cisgender people, if somebody knows, they can write in the comments. This is especially true for trans people and queer women. And while incarcerated, LGBT individuals are subject to particularly inhumane conditions and treatment. This is what's crazy. And I didn't know these numbers, guys. I lived in prison. I know there's a high percentage. I know what goes on in prison and everything else to that matter. But I didn't know the numbers for this. And now you're going to know. And please, if you're gay, lesbian, gay, bi, trans, I guess it means queer, you're all right, man. Be you. Nobody gives a fuck. I know that. They really don't. I feel for you. I really, really do. And you got a home at this channel, as everybody does. And there's never going to be any kind of against people, macho bullshit you fucking see out there, and all that crap pisses me off. And just be you, guys and girls. Be you, period. Respect others, and you should be respected. I don't care. Anything else doesn't matter. But anyway, for LGBTQ people, criminal justice involvement often starts at a young age. Researchers estimated that 20% of youth in juvenile justice systems are lesbian, gay, bisexual, questioning, gender nonconforming, or transgender, compared with 4 to 6% of the youth in the general population. This overrepresentation is largely due to the obstacles that LGBTQ face after fleeing abuse I hate abuse and lack of acceptance at home because of sexual orientation or gender. In order to survive, LGBTQ youth are pushed towards criminalized behavior such as drug sales, theft, or survival sex, which increases risk of arrest and confinement. I do believe, everybody, that society is changing. Although this is a very recent article, this is a March of 2021. March of 2021. And again, I don't know, but I feel on this channel at least, nobody gives a fuck. You know, be whatever you want, and I hope people are. And I hope people don't judge other people, because who the fuck are you to judge? I don't judge, you shouldn't judge. Don't judge me and my criminal behavior. Don't judge anybody. But LGBTQ youth in the general population is 9.5%. In prison, it's 20%. Right here. Big time study. It kind of drives me a little bit nuts that we have to still do this in 2021. You know, it's a topic of mine because I've seen such young people come to prison and get abused. I'm gonna have a guy on my show, and I talked to him 10 years ago, more than that, when I had a radio show, and his name is Bill Dillon. And if you look him up, William Dillon did 28 years in the Florida State prison system for a crime he did not commit. He was given money when he got out and all that, but it meant nothing. The money he gave him was bullshit. He was gang raped by five people his first day in Florida State Prison. That's real, man. He was a good-looking 21-year-old kid, blonde guy, surfer, and fucking gets gang raped. Think of that, man. And you didn't do the crime. I mean, there's nothing justifies the gang. I don't give a fuck what you did. But imagine, I used to say that all the time. I can't even imagine being in prison. I didn't do the crime. Now, what happens when you go to prison? If you're gay or lesbian, people ask me that a lot. That's why I decided to do that. First of all, prison is not a great place. You would think. People say to me, I've had it many times, gay guy or right, or somebody say, Larry, you know, prison must be fun. I'm gay. I mean, why wouldn't I mind going to all those hunk guys and this, and they're young and this? If you think being raped or sold as a sex slave is fucking good or fun, then I think you got a misfucking conception of what life should be about. Nobody should be done things against their will. Obviously, they shouldn't. Now, what happened is, in 2003, the prison system came out with two things. They came out with what they call the PREA, P-R-E-A, Prison Rape Elimination Act. Look, I know these because I did so much law in prison. I really know these. And the Prison Litigation Reform Act, PLRA, is also what they came out, which fucks over the PREA. Now, the Prison Reparation Act tells what they have to do and how it works and how they have to report it, the system and all, and it's such bullshit. I've seen it a zillion times. The problem with the prison rape is attempting to address is nothing short of staggering. An estimated 88,500 adult inmates, 4.4% of the prison inmates, and 3.1% of jail inmates reported at least one instance of sexual victimization in the previous year, according to a 2010 Bureau of Justice Statistics report at a used unit prison in Texas. Listen to this, if you're from Texas. The facility with the highest rates of reported victimization. 8.6% of inmates reported being sexually assaulted by another inmate. Sexual victimization by guards is equally as prevalent. In that Crossroads Correctional Facility in Missouri, the male facility with the highest rates of guard sexual misconduct. 8.2% of inmates reported being victimized. At the Women's Bayview Correctional Facility in New York, 11.5% of inmates reported sexual abuse by a guard. That means you take 100 people, 11 people are fucking raped by guards. What the fuck am I missing here? I mean, I know we're all humans and humans are fucked up, but boy, are they not hiring the right people. When a prisoner comes forward and reports a sexual act, he or she is more likely to face retribution than redress. Complaining prisoners frequently face retaliatory harassment, discipline, or further abuse. Listen to this, and you know how I think of this. A full 25% of the inmates, victims, are similarly sent to solitary confinement, according to the Department of Justice's own numbers. Think of that. You get raped, and you go to the hole. See, people, I'm going to give you a quick lesson. Deliberate indifference is the way you get around suing a guard or a warden and winning, because I did it. I won a case here with the law firm, and they used me. I knew more about it than them, and I briefed their attorneys and everything, and they won a $600,000 judgment against the Florida State Department of Corrections on a kid that was raped by other guys with a broom handle, because we proved what they call deliberate indifference. Deliberate indifference is you know what's happening, you don't give a fuck. Deliberately, you don't give a shit. You're deliberately indifferent to that guy's what's going on in your prison or whatever. And that's how you get around the, hey, you can't sue us. I have what they call immunity. And they do, mostly. Because a guard can come out and rape you, but if they never knew that guard was like that, you can't get money out of him. You just can't. I'm going to give you a case of a kid. This is why it's a gay guy in prison. Cases of sexual assault inmates are often stymied by two of the plea requirements. You have to exhaust all those administrative remedies and showing physical harm. You literally got to show a broken arm, or you can't walk, your knee was broken. Well, a sexual act, can you really show a physical? If you're really abused, like we did with the guy in Florida, he was abused with a broom handle. We did show it there. But most of the times you can't comply with the technical, and you can't, if a prisoner fails to comply with the technical and often arbitrary requirements of the administrative procedures, or if the inmate misses one of the filing deadlines, his or her rights to sue is forever forfeited. Let me give you a little story about a guy named Rodney. One young man named Rodney, and in prison for fraud, and check forging, sent me a detailed account of his life so far in prison. He described a litany of brutal rapes, assaults, beatings, and eventually the total abandonment of his male identity as his only means of survival in the hyper-masculine and often homophobic prison environment. His account suggests that from being a paradise, prison for gay men can be a living hell. Within days of his first entering prison, the 23-year-old Rodney claimed he was the victim of 3 separate sexual assaults involving 5 different inmates. Think of what I just said, everybody. I didn't say sexual acts, I said sexual assaults. The prison he was first sent to did actually have a separate tier for gay inmates. But according to Rodney, because he did not appear overtly effeminate, during his classification he was placed with the general population. And because it was supposedly rare to have a gay person slip through the cracks of the system, his fellow inmates took full advantage of him. These are his words. My first week or so in general population was hell on earth. Physical, mental, and emotional torture. After being raped, I performed acts by request. It was understood and expected. I had no means to protect myself, being only 23 and scared for my life. I dared not report anything because I was clearly warned that my life would be in jeopardy should I do so. I quickly learned that a snitch is worse than labeled and a fag. Against popular opinion, jail is not heaven for a homosexual. Nothing is heaven about being intimidated into performing sexual acts. It is also rape, just like the 3 forcible rapes were. Think of this poor kid. True enough, I am attracted to men and always have been. But in life, in the outside, it's my choice whom I share my bed with. It's intimate and personal. Having my mouth and anus aggressively penetrated by several strangers is anything but. If you have to go back and rewind what I just read, do it. He went on to report how one of his rapists took a fancy to him, purchased him from the tier rep for $20. Are you hearing me? Even though he was thereby essentially enslaved by his new prison husband, he was grateful because his days of being the communal bitch were over. He said he tried to do whatever his prison husband wanted or needed, including cleaning his cell, washing his clothes, preparing his food, and whatever else his husband wanted or needed, including, of course, being available for sex. Because he did what I wanted and needed, kept other inmates off me. He accepted being raped and abused by 1 to not be raped by 10. As time wore on and husband came and went, Rodney perfected the art of being a prison hoe as his only means of surviving intact. This involved establishing a female name and identity, learning how to speak when spoken to, respect his man, and emasculating himself to the point where he could not stand while urinating. There's nothing about the experience that could be considered enjoyable. I mean, this is new too. This is new, guys. I've heard, this is his words again, I've heard before that jail is a faggot stream. I assure you that cliche is not the case. Gay men who do not attempt to hide their sexuality or are forced into passive and submissive roles to live with some standard of equality, we have to trade in our manhood. We are completely emasculated. It's a form of technical castration. The role of woman is forced upon us, and any rebuttal is considered a sign of disrespect. My way of thinking about myself and my sexuality has been permanently altered. This kid went away for forgery and check writing. Think of what I just said, forgery and fucking check writing. Think of what the fuck I just said. It's difficult to assess how typical Rodney's prison experience is, but numerous studies conducted by the Bureau of Justice Statistics based on anonymous inmate surveys have shown that gay and transgender inmates are among the most targeted groups for sexual victimization. Until fairly recently, little has been done to help them. Just Detention International, JDI, is trying to change that. JDI has been working with the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation to establish sensitive needs yards where gay, transgender, and other, but they go on to say, in the meantime, prisoners like Rodney have been forced to make their peace with their prison hoe fate. Listen to this, his words. I've grown to realize that I'm a man and being a prison hoe is an act. It is not, however, an act that Rodney or any other inmate should be forced to perform. I feel for you, man. And obviously it said in the beginning, the best way to prevent all this shit is make good choices, don't go to prison. But it's not, it's easier said than done, as they say. People are not accepted at home. If you're an older person, if you're an adult, please be open. You don't even realize how you might be affecting your son or daughter who might be gay, and you don't even know it. By just, not that you hate them, but you might be watching a movie and say, look at that faggot, or look at that gay guy, oh, fuck, he's so feminine, or whatever. You might inadvertently be showing your son or daughter that you're not open to the fact that he might be gay or bisexual or gender, whatever it is. So I want you to realize this is a big world out there. It shouldn't matter what anybody does as long as they respect you and you respect them. I shouldn't care just like I don't care about people's religion. I don't care about people's color or sexual identity. I don't give a fuck. I respect all of you guys, every one of you. If you're 10 years old or you're 80 years old on this channel, I respect you, just like I want to be respected. So with that said, I hope I opened your eyes to being gay in prison, and it's not fun. I talk and sometimes think positively about some fun times I had with the people, and I don't mean the sex. I don't mean sex at all. I mean talking to them and helping them, or giving Goldie the job just to make money. No sex, of course. I just want you to know I respect you. I know my people on this channel do. And be you and get through it. Don't make the bad choice. Don't go to prison. You're loved. Have a great day, everybody. Please, much respect, much love. Please pass this on. You might help somebody. Post it on your social media. Put it in your playlist. Please pass things on. Please subscribe if you haven't, if you like what I'm doing. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. See you soon.